Hey everyone, Dan here for Macworld, and today I'm getting away from behind the camera and in front of you to finally get to the video that I promised you months ago, and that is which is the best iPhone lens / iPhone lens system. If you don't want to watch the entire thing and you just want the quick answer is to go Moment lenses, but that's not to say that these other ones are bad, and I want to go through kind of all of them, or the ones that are, I think, worth talking about, just so that you know why you might actually want to go with a different system. So let's just start off with the big dog, Moment lens. Now, Moment lenses are the priciest, but they're also very highly regarded and they produce great images. These are newer versions of the old one. You can see how here's the old wide, which was considered their 18mm, and here's their newer wide. That's because the newer iPhone and some of the other phones out there have larger sensors, and so they had to replace the old version with the new version because there was a little bit of vignetting around the corners and just some issues. And you could just see how it's, a lot more glass, a lot more weight, and I think they increased the price of these. So the telephoto and the wide are $120. They also have a fisheye and a macro. Those ones are $100, and they do have an anamorphic lens, which I still plan on doing a video about. I'll promise that one for later. These are great lenses. They're sharp, they're made well, and my favorite thing about them and why the Moment lens system is my favorite is that they use this kind of bayonet system right here. So it's kind of these two little notches, and if you have a case, basically it just goes right on like that, and it's mounted. And you kind of get it on every time. You can switch to the telephoto if you needed to. If you have an iPhone 10, 10s, or 10s Max, and you already have a telephoto lens, sure, you can use the telephoto on the telephoto and kind of get a 4 times the standard zoom compared to the regular standard lens. And if you're doing just photos, I think it's usable. But if you're trying to shoot video, you're going to have such a hard time keeping it stable and looking worthwhile unless you're throwing it on a tripod. If you have those phones, you can probably skip a telephoto. If you just have the iPhone XR, then I would say that a telephoto is very useful. It gives you that kind of nice focal range that makes for a great portrait lens. So people just kind of look really nice in that kind of slight telephoto-ish range. And I will say that no matter what lens you would add to it, the telephoto on this phone is going to be better than using a telephoto on the standard. It's just sharper. We can talk about cases for a second. These are the kind of different versions that they have, and they're made very well. They look stylish, maybe a little thick, but I will say off the bat that I'm generally not a case person. I prefer to just keep my phone like this, and then when I plan on going out and I want to take some options, then I'll throw a case on it and carry a couple lenses. The Moment lenses are great, and no one's going to dispute that, but they are the most expensive. I'm not going to say they're the best value. The best value are going to be the Sandmarc lenses. And optically, these Sandmarc lenses are going to be, in my experience, just as good as the Moment lenses, and they're significantly cheaper. Or I should say, when you kind of include the case and all that, they're significantly cheaper. These are each $100, and a case comes with it. You can see the iPhone XS version here, and it also comes with a clip so that you can use it on the front facing, or if someone else has another phone and you just want to kind of put it on theirs, you can do that. This is the XS version, which has 2 lenses, so you can see 2 slots there. And so you're probably asking, why didn't I say these are the best lenses? Because they're cheaper and they look just as good. And for me, I would say it's because this lens system is not as easy or as quick to use as the Moment system. And I really am a big fan of the bayonet method of connecting a lens to the phone. This is a screw-on system, and I think because the XS has these 2 double kind of mounts, sometimes the threading is a little bit tricky. And you can see just right now, when you don't thread it perfectly, it gets caught, and you kind of have to back it out and then kind of like find the right thing. And when you just want to take a quick photo, that's a little bit annoying. The case it feels a little cheap. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not, and it's not the most stylish, but it is very thin, and it is free. When you compare the Moment lenses, 2 lenses plus a case, you're at $280. When you say 2 Sandmarc lenses, which includes the cases, for $200, that's a pretty significant price difference. For pure best value, and without sacrificing any image quality, I really do like the Sandmarc lenses. So the next lens system that I want to talk about is the Olloclip lens system. They used to go for just these really tiny lenses, and you grab one and you can mount it on your phone, and they're relatively inexpensive. Each of these lenses is about $45, except for their Pro line, which are $100 each. And then they have a few different mounting options. So first there's the multi-device, and that one's just kind of like a little clip that can be used on pretty much any phone. And then there's also this XS version, but there's a unique version for every iPhone model because it has kind of like a fitted slot that goes over the protruding rear camera, and that's just kind of how it kind of locks on and centers everything each time. So I have some issues with the whole kind of Olloclip system. First, the smaller lenses, they get softer on the edges, and they're probably good enough for things like social media. The Pro lenses are pretty sharp, and they're probably just as good as the Sandmarcs or the Moments. And so if you're really interested in keeping up the kind of image quality, then you can go with the Pro models, but those are pricier. And then there's just kind of a build quality issue where they just don't fit perfectly like the previous version, which I had for the iPhone X, and I like that one a lot, but the build quality seems to have come down a little bit. As far as my recommendation, I would say I don't recommend the multi-clip. I've had it kind of get stuck open a bunch of times. It also just doesn't grip very well. But I would recommend the kind of specific iPhone model clips if you are someone who refuses to not use a case whatsoever, or if you are someone who takes a lot of selfies. The next one I want to talk about, and this is thanks to a user named Ironic, and she recommended a company called Rhino Shield. They have 2 versions of the lens, and that is this HD version, and this one costs $60. And then they have another cheaper one, which I want to say is $30. I'm not 100% certain what makes the difference between the regular version and the HD version, but this is a little bit different because it is also a macro lens, so you kind of get the wide angle and a macro for the same price. But the Rhino Shield only really offers that one lens, so there's no telephoto, there's no fisheye, there's no like really higher end dedicated macro. The lens is a little bit softer. It's not quite as bad as the small Olloclips are. I don't think it's a deal breaker soft, especially for that price. The strength of the Rhino Shield is obviously not in the lens or the lens selection, but it is in their case selection. So if you are someone who really cares about their cases, then Rhino Shield offers just a ton of options. And here's like a stack more. They have different lines, different materials. Some of their lines called the mods, you can put on like different edging, and you can even change the buttons colors if you wanted to. So I think if you care a lot about your case and you really want that personalized case experience where no one else really has that exact same combination as you, then the Rhino Shield is good, especially, like I said, if you have a 10 or XS or XS Max. It does require this little adapter so that you can use the lens on it. Here is the lens, and it does use the bayonet style that I like, so it is pretty quick. And then you're good to go. It's not bad. If you are someone who, like me, does not like to normally use a case, you are going to lose this adapter. This is my second one. I lost the first one. It just pops out really easily, and I guarantee you, if you are someone who's taking the case on and off a lot, you are going to lose that. So if you care about your case and you only need a wide angle lens, and you don't quite care about if it's perfectly as sharp, then the Rhino Shield is a good way to go. The last lenses I kind of wanted to talk about are, some of these ones that you find on Amazon for, $20, $30. They're cheap. They work. They give you a wide angle lens. They aren't as sharp as the best lenses, but I would say they're usable. It does include a macro in addition to just the wide, but they're big, they're heavy, and they require you to use just the one clip. And I hate just trying to rely on these clips because I have a problem always trying to like line them up. It's just a little tricky, especially if it's in the dark. Very easy for them to just get bumped just a tiny bit and be misaligned, and that just messes up your shot. Let's take a look at these two lenses. And if you can see, they look pretty much identical. I don't want to say that they are identical. You tell me if these two to you are different, or are they very similar or suspiciously similar? You decide. For $20, they give you a $20 job, so they're not ripping you off. They work, but I would not recommend it. I would say you're just better off not using it, whatever. So that was kind of my look at iPhone lenses. Leave a comment in the video because I want to hear what your thoughts are. Do you disagree with me? Do you have any experiences with any of these lenses? Because I think sharing that, our other viewers would love to hear that, and they can get different take on it. My take is obviously going to be a little different because I do still carry a mirrorless. But when I'm just going to a new neighborhood or just hanging out and I don't really want to take a whole camera, then I can just throw a couple lenses in my pocket and I'm kind of good to go. So that's kind of the perspective that I come from. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this and stay tuned for more macro videos.